I've been thinking that if you put all the information together, maybe you could jog something loose. And I was thinking, you know the case best. Yeah, that's true. And you know all the players and you have all the files. Lost them. You lost them? Or I tossed them. I don't know. I moved on to a boat. You know we work in the daily business, right? As in today. What do you think we were doing back then? Do you know more people die in the East Bay commute every 3 months than that idiot ever killed? He offed a few citizens, he wrote a few letters, and then he faded into a footnote. Welcome to Should You Watch This with the Popcorn Priest, a weekly podcast where movie enthusiasts, ex-movie theater projectionists, new and old friends take the time to talk about a movie that we just watched and answer that very question. Should or shouldn't you watch this? I'm your host, Chris Compton. Let's get into our review and breakdown of Zodiac from 2007.
Dear Editor, this is the murderer of the two teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl on the 4th of July.
I want you to print this cipher on the front page of your paper.
He wants his code in the afternoon edition.
Ray Smith, don't you have a cartoon to finish?
The Zodiac killer has come to San Francisco.
Another letter.
School children make nice targets.
He gave himself a name.
Greek, Morse code, astrological signs. This guy's used them all.
I like killing people because man is the most dangerous animal of all.
How does one do that?
I like puzzles. I do them a lot.
Got any hard suspects?
About 90 an hour. I'm up to around 500.
You got 4 crime scenes, not a single usable print. You can't think of this case in normal police terms.
He's breaking the pattern.
Glenna said you were a cartoonist.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing at a gun range?
I just want to help.
What are you, some kind of Boy Scout?
Eagle Scout, actually. First class.
Joining me today is reoccurring guests Cole and Taylor. The description for this one: in the late 1960s, early 1970s, a San Francisco cartoonist becomes an amateur detective obsessed with tracking down the Zodiac killer, an unidentified individual who terrorizes Northern California with a killing spree. Directed by David Fincher, top-billed stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, Anthony Edwards, and Brian Cox. Runtime of 2 hours and 37 minutes, rated R. Genre on Rotten Tomatoes says drama, crime, mystery, and thriller. Compared to IMDb's crime, drama, mystery. I think I would agree with Rotten Tomatoes on this one. Speaking of IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb gives this a 7.7 out of 10 from 480,000 reviews. Rotten Tomatoes gives this an 89% from 256 critic ratings and 77% from 250,000 plus audience ratings. On a $65 million budget, this one made a worldwide box office haul of $84 million, which probably is not good. According to studio execs, and they probably wanted to make more considering the budget. Where to watch this one? At the time of this recording, you can watch this on Paramount Plus if you have that, formerly known as CBS Plus or whatever that is. Or you can watch for free on Canopy.com, spelled with a K, provided you have a current library card. And now this brings us to the most talked about segment on podcasting. Should or shouldn't you watch this? The 5 reasons why you should watch this. Number 1, if you like David Fincher, this is for you. Number 2, if you like his series on Netflix, Mindhunter, this is for you. Number 3, if you like serial killer movies and what happens to those who are affected by them, as well as those who are trying to solve the mystery, this is for you. Number 4, if you want to see Iron Man 1 year prior to Iron Man, this is for you. And last but not least, if you want to watch a whodunit, where you don't get to find out who done it, and put on your Zodiac mask and sharpen your stabbing knives. And let's get into the breakdown of Zodiac from 2007.
This is the Zodiac speaking.
All right, welcome back to Should You Watch This with the Popcorn Priest. We have just screened Zodiac from 2007. This was Cole's pick. The description in IMDb says, in the late 1960s, early 1970s, a San Francisco cartoonist becomes an amateur detective obsessed with tracking down the Zodiac killer, an unidentified individual who terrorizes Northern California with a killing spree.
and into the 1980s, if I recall. I believe the confrontation at the end happened in like 1982 or something like that.
That's true.
And still unresolved to this day, as it were.
We screened this on a Blu-ray, not 4K.
There is no. They didn't film this. Well, they probably
It doesn't matter, but there's got to be a 4K version
you just
of
think
this.
like you just got to res it up, man. Use some machine learning to fill in those pixels.
I haven't looked up. I will do it in the intro, the recording, so you'll probably already heard this, where you can stream this. But
so what happened is this movie is one of the victims of the early HD Blu-ray back and forth competition, because Warner Brothers was all for HD and Sony and Paramount, I think, were Blu-ray. And so I believe it came out on HD.
Did Sony own Paramount?
No.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Sony.
What matters is that Blu-ray won and was therefore better.
Yes. And so they had like...
No, it's because of the porn industry.
No, it's because... It was
it was.
That's why VSR there. That's why a VHS won.
No, it's because when Blu-ray came out, it was because certain studios were like, "We're only going to go with this." Like,
it was between Blu-ray and like
HD DVD.
HD DVD. Yeah, that's what I mean. Warner Brothers was HD that came in the red boxes, and so they were going to release like this director's cut. But then when everyone switched to Blu-ray, it disappeared for like a year or two. I don't think it came out till like 2010 or 2011 or something, because I was all jacked.
Originally got released
as an HD, and then it got flipped over to Blu-ray. Yeah,
so it doesn't have that fine-tuned. Is
Yeah,
there some like insane, meaningless like review of someone like who like looked at every frame?
I'm sure. Well,
looked at aliasing. They're like, they up-resed it here. This is not a loving transfer.
I mean, it looks beautiful as far as
I didn't notice any issues with it.
I mean,
it's not 4K,
and
but it's also made in 2007.
And there's intentional grain because they're trying.
Because the digital.
It's trying to be evocative of the era it's portraying.
I mean, the opening credits, you've got the old Paramount logo, the old Warner Brothers logo to make you feel like it.
It sets the mood.
Yeah, it's kind of like a noirish look, like 70s.
And no, it's amazing to watch. Like, I can't imagine like what the set designer had to go through to recreate like the diners and the police stations and movie theaters, like all the old time like plaques on the wall. You have the metal signs for like Coca-Cola and hamburgers and stuff from the 60s and 70s. Like, it's amazing the detail they go to when they redo the sets.
Yeah, I I already told you when we started watching this that I had problems with the film initially because
you're a child and you demand your films
I'm a little
like
baby.
Beginning, middle, end, and you demand full resolution.
I wanted the killer.
You can't have any ambiguity. That upsets you.
I needed to have him be captured and put in jail
and tried in a court of law with amongst a jury of his peers. Be found guilty by this jury of his peers.
Exactly.
And sentenced to crimes in the name of justice. Sentenced to pay.
Is exactly what I wanted. Yeah. So
when does that ever happen?
I know. But now seeing it again, I enjoyed it for a good film. It was well made. And I think it didn't get a lot of justice for at the time.
Yeah, I feel like it's underappreciated because you don't really, I don't know.
I looked this up, and it
feels like it definitely should have been bigger than it. I don't know how well it did, but
BBC released a list of 21st century's 100 greatest films, and it is listed as number 17.
Well, I mean, if anyone knows, be the British.
I'm just saying I think it was underappreciated. I think it made. I don't know what the box office was. Cole probably tell us. But.
So that's the crappy thing.
Well, I mean,
when it was released, it came out. I believe it was a month. It was literally like a month after 300 came out, and there was a bunch of. There was a couple other like big releases at the time because I remember when I saw it 2 or 3 times in the theater, and I think the second time I went, the length was what turned a lot of people off because with trailers and ads and everything, it was at least 3 hours long.
And we watched the director's cut, so the real cut was like 2.5 hours. This was 2 hours and 47 minutes.
This has the director's cut. I mean, there's a couple extra scenes, but a lot of them are kind of unnecessary. Like the scene
I wouldn't have been able to tell.
It's the one scenes where Jake Gyllenhaal knocks on the car and Robert Downey Jr. is like passed out in the back and he wakes up and they go into the office.
Yeah, no, that's great.
But they threw that in afterwards for some reason.
Like
I don't know why.
his mouth is like stuck to the little, the 2-inch gap of the window that he rolled that out. It's pretty good.
Robert Downey Jr.'s character in this is very entertaining.
Well, and unfortunately, probably he didn't have to get deep down to figure out all those moments of
as far as someone's life
debauchery.
Like just fraying at the edges from substance abuses.
How far away is this from Iron Man? Because
it's a year.
It's a year because
really
this came out in March of 2007, and then Iron Man was May of 2008, so it was about a year. But it's the same Paramount, so might be partly why he heard about it too.
To answer your question earlier, we were talking about this during the screening. Taylor asked this. All of the blood in the film is digital because it saved the production enormous amounts of time by not having to wait for wardrobe changes and cleaning.
It doesn't really matter though, because there really isn't them. Like what violence there is pretty severe.
It's over. Well, it's over pretty quick though too.
But it's not.
But at the same time,
it's not an action
he's notorious for having many takes.
Yeah.
Fincher is so
detailed. He's very thorough. I wasn't
if you ask me, it just means he's bad. If he were good, one take.
They said for Fight Club they had like half a mil. It was like
one take.
It was 500,000 feet of film by the time they were done.
That's how those like Asylum like direct to DVD movies that are like mockbusters. It's like they have like two.
If you were working with Marlon Brando, then yes, it would be. You'd only get one take, and then you'd have to use whatever you got.
And
use what you get.
You'd have to give him $10 million for that one take.
Yeah,
man, just imagine how imagine the savings. You only get 2 takes
until your movie doesn't make any sense because your actor wasn't playing along with you.
And Cole also was right. They wanted to film the cab driver killing at the actual intersection of Washington and Cherry where it occurred, but it became an impracticality working with the HOA to secure permission for 5 nights of shooting.
But
they decided. Listen,
I love this in HOA. It's just like these little mini Nazis.
Yeah.
Well, no. But when you think about it, though. The sad thing is just like
we cannot have our residents be inconvenienced.
There's no way we'll be able to record here.
But
it's too sensitive.
Look how much crap the you get living in the neighborhood with that twisty street. I can't remember the name of the street. That's one way with all the vans going around it. Just imagine living at the intersection.
Are you saying that that's why? I don't think they were thinking that far ahead.
No.
I think they're like, we don't want our.
Because it's not that
Facebook.
Just imagine how much of like
mildly inconvenienced.
Just imagine how much of a tourist attraction it already is without like having a studio crew coming in.
Yeah,
and
but it was
having to
only
film for
5 nights. It says they decided to build a corner elsewhere and put up blue screens.
Yeah, but I'm guessing they get so much crap already from people that are like, this is where the serial killing happened of people that show up all the time on the streets to take pictures and be, idiots like tourists are.
I don't think that's what they do.
I think that's part of
HOAs are just these little mini tyrants. And they're just like, they had the opportunity to say no to a movie studio, and they're just like, absolutely, I love telling no to everyone who lives here, and I love telling no, I can tell no to you.
And they probably put it to vote.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was their little
and mini. David Fincher was like, fine, I'll just make my own street.
Yeah.
I got blue screens.
Listen to this one. Robert Downey Jr. kept referring to the blue drink as a blue dragon, but Fincher suggested aqua velva instead, as it was the aftershave his father used.
I was going to say an aqua velva. I thought it was real. Like it seems like something.
That was a great scene.
Yeah, where they end up drinking at the. It looked. I thought I could see that being a real thing.
I thought it was real too. Every time I see it, I'm like, I should try one of those the next time I go to a bar.
Like that, to have that blue color.
What are your takes? Cole, you should go first since it was your pick.
What are we talking about?
What do you? What's your take on it? What's your rating? What's your review?
This movie's kind of special to me because, like, my household, we're all about
because you aspire to be a serial killer who terrorizes several cities in Northern California.
I wouldn't even be able to murder somebody before I got caught. They'd still be alive. Like I'd try and poison somebody and they'd just get explosive diarrhea.
Botch some murders too.
Well, no, I love this movie because I'm the type that grew up reading John Douglas books and like finding out about serial killers and how they operate. And the Zodiac, I guess it's interesting. The only thing he has to his credit is that he wasn't caught. And I'm sure, if they were to find him, he'd just wind up being another big weirdo like Berkowitz or
Is there any other because I think it's really unique the way the newspaper stuff and writing in those letters and like how common is that where he's actually doing like a full like
where he's communicating with the public,
taunting of the police department. And
well,
I mean, I guess like maybe Unabomber, but
no. So the other one would be what's his name, Gary Ridgway, the BTK killer. He actually was egging him on because
egging the Zodiac on.
No. He was egging the police on because
like these are like it's like that snowman like thing. It's like I left you all the clues, Mr. Policeman.
So the BTK killer like wrote to the police and was like,
"Is this after this got the Zodiac though?"
Yeah, he was in the BTK was in the 80s.
So it's like
the
Zodiac, like the first instance of someone like really like
just
playing
like
up the mass
being
media,
a media
like,
whore. Yeah,
trying to like actually like inflict terror as far as using.
Well. Yeah, it was because Zodiac was first, then it was Manson family in like 72, 73.
It feels unique in that respect because, I mean, maybe it's just the nature of how media had evolved to that point.
Why he's still so popular, though, too, is it became such a sensation because it was unusual for that to happen.
Like the whole thing,
he was flippant with the police and like sending letters
and like taking credit for crimes he probably didn't do.
Yeah,
and that's where it goes off the rails. Is there's 5 confirmed, and they think there might be a couple more, but it's like because there's no real concrete evidence, or he didn't mail. There's
because he only mailed certain pieces of cloth during certain murders, but the other ones
I don't know. Like
described it.
Since then, I can like think of several examples where like a single person kind of really terrorized a town.
But not for the But I mean,
but this seems like a really like an early example of it, and like a really like
that's what I mean,
notable one. Like
this one's
like before that, I don't know, like maybe there just wasn't like you couldn't do it. I'm assuming like the interconnected nature of like society wasn't such that you could get away with it. I don't know.
Well, but at the time, I mean, technology was so far behind.
Yeah,
too. I mean, it's like you either have fingerprints or you have eyewitnesses. That's like the only two things they could have tied him with, which is why he got lucky, especially in the park. But that's the glory of it is he only killed 5 people compared to, I think, the Green River Killer and the BTK were like in the teens. I think Green River Killer was like in the 30s. But considering it was such a low body count, it's only the fact that he never got caught. And so it's still that mystery that's like compelling everyone to try and figure out, it could be any one of, these number of people that are, here and there. And, we're never going to find out what it is. And so I think it's the fascination. Like they made a movie about it, 38 years later, because people are still curious and like interested to know, who it might have been. And, to figure out he could still be walking around if it was somebody in there.
He was like sending puzzles to the newspaper. Like,
yeah.
Has anyone done that like since or before that? That's
well, you brought it up during the movie. Like, imagine this happening now.
Oh
like
yeah, how the media would run with it now.
Run with it.
Well, but especially now that we have the 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying.
You're waiting for the second edition. The afternoon newspaper.
Can you just imagine how it would be played now?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much like the Golden State Killer is right now. The attention he's getting because now it's they finally know who it is. And they were able to track him down because of the media getting involved and like people researching it on their own and wanting to figure out what's going on. And Patton Oswalt's wife, researching it for decades like she did.
Michelle McNamara.
Really? Patton Oswalt's wife researched it?
Yeah, she wrote a book. She's the one that coined the term Golden State Killer because before they used to call him the East Area Rapist or the Ear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was big. She grew up in the same area where it was all going down when she was a kid.
So she wrote a book too?
Yeah, she died.
Yeah, she died
3-4 years ago.
Really?
She fellow investigators helped finish the book and publish
and put it out. The book is just creepy as heck. It's insane. The guy was nuts.
I didn't know that Patton Oswalt's wife died. And wrote a book about the Zodiac Killer.
Well, that's what I sent you a link to the other day. Was HBO made a documentary about it, and then Patton Oswalt's hosting it, talking about like
really
the case to catch him, and then what his wife everything how she participated in the
How did she die?
It was some weird.
She was mixing drugs.
Yeah, it was but nothing like that you would think. It wasn't like recreational drugs. It was like
she had Xanax and something else in her system.
Not on purpose.
No, it was she just had like heart failure.
It was like what happened to Bruce Lee kind of deal, like where he took like headache stuff and had some weird allergic reaction to it.
Listen to this. Some of the exterior shots required the digital removal of satellite dishes from rooftops. They checked first to see if they could pay people to temporarily take them down, but the cost would have been north of $40,000, so they went digital instead.
See, that's what
I like. I like to imagine them asking that and being like,
do you mind removing your satellite dish from your home?
Are you gonna like reenact Monday Night Football for me, or
so you're gonna get a rickety ladder and get up on the roof and unbolt it for me? You're gonna do that? No, that's what I was telling Taylor, like the set design, just I can't imagine what it must have been like to take something from 2007 and revert it back 35 years ago to make. He's like the detail they put in all the sets and the backgrounds.
Yeah,
everything's amazing.
I've read articles about how the CG isn't very good of the cityscapes.
Which that was actually what, like, from when I saw
I
it
thought
first
it
time,
looked really good.
that stood out to me. I didn't really notice it this time. Like,
I didn't either. Well, I mean, for me, like, that's another reason why I love this movie is that he's so good at, like, it's 2.5 hours long, but he's so good at directing the pace that, like, it keeps you, like, interested in the story to the point where you're not.
And there's nothing really happening other than dialogue.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
It's awesome.
It's like a Quentin Tarantino were to write a mystery. Like, this would be something like this without, except for more F words, is that you really get wrapped up in, like, the investigation.
There
and, like,
is
everybody
some
trying to
good
figure
humor
out
in
the
it.
mystery behind it.
I was also surprised at the humor. It's funny. There's a lot of jokes in it that were really funny.
That's the thing. If you read more about the trivia, because they talk about how Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Downey Jr. weren't really friends, so they kind of took their own liberties as to what their friendship might have been like.
Oh, really?
So the actual Robert Graysmith didn't see the movie until the night it premiered. Like he wasn't really involved in the production that much. So everybody was freaking out thinking he was going to get offended or be
like,
mad.
How dare you
that they made
portray
him,
me as being friends with this
well,
man?
no, that they turned him into such a nerd, like such a dork, like going through his
kind
trash
like
and things like that.
Obsessive.
Yeah, kind of like a little kid wanting to help the adults figure out what's going on.
I mean, he doesn't look like. I mean, he doesn't seem to have like a really healthy like balance in his life in the movie.
No,
that's a pretty like constant character thread throughout, that he's got this obsessiveness.
He needs some friends.
Yeah, that is probably unhealthy, and yeah, no,
it's
exactly.
like I Love You, Man. If
More
there was a serial killer plot going
more people
on,
die on the commute than the Zodiac killer ever killed.
The East Bay commute every 3 months.
Oh, dude, listen to this.
I'm listening.
One of my favorite shots is the
Transamerica building.
Yeah, with the passage of time. It says, so a lot's been written about this shot as some kind of flourish, he says, regarding the time-lapse creation of San Francisco's Transamerica building. It uses a series of still photographs taken during the building's actual construction along with CG enhancements, and he wanted it to show a passage of time.
I just assumed it was completely fake.
Oh, man, it's awesome. Man, I liked it. I really liked it. I give it a golden bucket. I didn't think I would. I was going into it feeling like, I didn't really... I was frustrated with it on my first viewing, but
yeah, I was too.
It's good.
I remember that would happen to me because it's a lot to take in at once, and they throw so much. Like the second half,
it's like when you look at it, it's like 3 different movies.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
it's like because of the first.
Yeah,
one,
some characters are gone for 40 minutes of the movie.
You've got kind of like the supervillain crime spree. You've got the murders. You've got the media freak out, which still happens.
The personal behind the scenes drama going on with the cops and
then
the
second half
cartoonists.
You've got like the real
the real toll it
police
takes on everybody.
Like this is the official case. They're spending years on this thing. They're following these leads that seem promising. And
they've got to work on their actual cases
of
and
like inter like department like difficulties in communicating,
sharing information,
evidence, and that's a whole bunch of other stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, it all falls apart. And then you have the third one, which is really just the cartoonist continuing and like
he's the Boy Scout wanting to
his amateur
to get his badge
and writing the book and really just becoming really obsessed in like a really unhealthy way.
Yeah, I was really sad when he lost his wife.
His second wife.
His second wife.
According to the movie.
It's true. He's probably like J-Lo, where he's on his 5th marriage now.
Hey,
yeah,
leave J-Lo out of this. It's I'm
going to involve J-Lo in everything. Don't you dare tell me that.
Did we watch Heat last time?
Yes, we did.
It's like a very similar thread of like Al Pacino's character being like on his 3rd marriage and torpedoing it through being obsessed with taking down sickos.
He takes his TV.
That's my dream, is to see a collab between Fincher and Michael Mann, make a movie or TV show or something together.
Thing. This feels like the most ambitious thing Fincher has done. Like I'm trying to think of what he's done since this.
What about the?
I don't know. I think
no.
I think
no. I think Mindhunter.
I'm talking about movies. Not
I think
like,
Dragon Tattoo is more intense, more related.
I don't think it's better.
Well, no. I mean, like all the time and like effort involved.
Okay.
I think Dragon Tattoo would have been more than Zodiac.
I mean, this is like sprawling and like time and location and like characters.
It's a lot of
like nothing else he's done is
And there's a lot of supporting actors that are in there for one beat, 2 beats.
Really great character actors, just filtered all through it. It's just really great.
Well, I guess the game would be the other one.
I feel like he's really let us all down, is all I'm saying.
Shut up.
What about Alien 3?
Blasphemy.
13 years.
What about Alien 3?
Gone Girl was amazing.
Gone Girl was good, but that was an adaptation of a book, and it was
awesome.
not a sprawling crime mystery epic that this was.
So, I don't know. I have to... See, I'll forgive him with Mindhunter.
Ruled. I like
because
yes,
what's his name? Ed Gein, the guy that plays Ed Gein, and that's amazing. Like the first episode's boring, but I remember I watched that whole first season in like a day because I was so enthralled.
Yeah, I don't count any of the stuff he's done for TV. I'm talking movies.
We're not going to mention House of Cards because there's no need to talk about that anymore.
Taylor, your review?
Yeah, I think it might be the most impressive thing Fincher's done. Like, I don't know. I can't say that for definitively. I haven't. I'm not going to proclaim myself to be a Fincher expert, but like in terms of like scope and scale and like, which is I'm just a fan of in general when it comes to movies, is like, you want to make a 4-hour-long epic, I'm there, make it good, and I'll just
as long as you can stay with it. Like,
it has to be good, but I mean, like,
Heat in this is awesome.
I respect the effort of trying to do something like that.
Like, what about Alexander? And
I was just thinking about Alexander.
Oh my gosh,
Alexander's so incredible.
It's like 4 hours long.
I still remember we started that. We didn't get it started until either 12:30 or 1 a.m. Thanksgiving morning at Cinemark. So we didn't leave until 3:30 or 4, and then we had to come back to work at 9 a.m. And I remember being so miserable that I was sat through such a terrible movie.
I remember like looking up trailers, and this was like long after it come out, and like I'd heard it was bad, but looking at trailers, I'm like, oh, these people probably just didn't understand it. And I went and watched it, and I was like, this is so infuriatingly bad.
It's half of it's amazing, like the scenes with the elephants or like the horse racing.
There's the battle at the very beginning, and there's the battle at the very end that is entertaining and pretty good. But everything else is trash.
Everything else it slams the brakes on, and then it gets so weird.
And it's got like the weird love triangle with Jared Leto,
and Rosario Dawson doesn't speak the language.
It's so incredible.
Sorry, I have derailed us a little bit with Alexander, but
you could have done that with any movie. If you just said something bad, we'd go off on it.
How many stars would we give it?
I don't know. Billion, trillion, a great amount of stars. Highest amount of stars.
Highest recommendation.
So like if you want, like, I mean, it's like any mystery where like it's really intriguing. Like you're really like you're wanting to follow. Yeah, you're wanting to follow the thread. You're seeing how it like maps out. And this is actually really great because really it becomes really like.
Well, that's what I like about it though, is you feel like you're solving it along with them because they go through so much detail.
Then it branches off though. Like there's so many great things like that. Like with like the origin of Zodiac's signature sign. Like there's multiple explanations for that, and you're like, so you think you're going down the right path.
And
then you get
but that's what I love though, is that's the problem with the case. Is it's so hard to differentiate between like what he might have actually done as opposed to what was just BS or what was a crazy rumor that somehow got spread around.
Like conspiracy theories can be so fascinating because they just sprawl out, and then you can get lost in the woods so easily.
I heard Zodiac came up with the original idea for 5G.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
It's like that lady says when Jake Gyllenhaal goes into the prison and she says, "You have that look."
Yeah.
And because she's seen people that are obsessed with this.
Yeah.
The true crime aficionados.
Yeah, and they just want to figure it out.
Surprised Joe Kenda was involved in this somehow.
It's not a healthy way to live.
No.
But like you understand it.
You're
like,
well, I mean, it's just an addiction like anything.
Yeah, it's absolutely
it's kind of like our addiction with movies.
It's just like
Zing.
It's like just this human desire to like just force order onto things that don't make sense. Like there's the truth out there that's this very ordered story.
Well, it's like why our friend Christopher didn't enjoy the movie the first time was because the crime is unsolved.
Yeah. He's like,
he wants to know who's behind the mask.
I still don't like it, but
he's like reading the Aristotle definition of like a drama. It's like it needs to be order, disorder, and then return to order.
Listen to this. Downey showed Fincher his bar trick with the 4 straws and asked to include it in the bar scene. 26 takes later, he was beside himself. He was so frustrated, so fed up. So one of those great little moments of inspiration turns into the actor's albatross. So
I don't even know what a 4-straw trick is.
Remember when he was in the bar and he had those 3 straws and then he shoved it through and then all of a sudden he picked it up and they all I know what you're talking about. Stayed together and then he brushed it off.
That's right. I remember.
There's so many details like that.
But yeah, like there's a lot of great characters that, like the detectives are like pretty interesting to watch. They got little character bits and. Yeah, no, Robert Downey Jr., like, I guess post-rehab, pre-Iron Man.
Yeah. Any parting thoughts?
What I like about it, I think part of the reason the mystery is, like, so intriguing, too, is that he was so stupid. He had to have gotten lucky, because he was walking in the park when the cops just drove right by him.
I don't know, man. If you just killed a random person, I think you could probably get away with it.
Well, a random person.
Most people don't do that.
Well, no, yes, 1, but not 5 in different counties, to the point where people don't even know what you look like. They can't even get an accurate sketch of you.
Recent examples. I'm thinking like the Washington, D.C. sniper.
That's true. That was a lot of confusion as to the white sedan that was actually a blue sedan.
That probably did like a really similar thing as far as like actually terrorizing a town. They shut down schools.
Oh, heck yeah. Well,
do you think sorry, I don't mean to detract, but do you think the drawing that Gyllenhaal's character draws of him is accurate? I mean, based on...
Oh, yeah.
With his little symbol and everything. And
I mean, that's what the guy described.
A big dude in black wearing a hood. I mean,
I know, but
so descriptive.
It is strange.
He has the Zodiac symbol right in his chest.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's accurate.
Sorry, you were talking about the DC killer.
Well, I was just thinking of like other examples of like, if you're going to randomly kill people,
but the other one,
very difficult to stop that.
The other one would have been Berkowitz, because once he started, the first couple of people he killed, I mean, that basically shut down Red Hook. Like, everybody in New York was terrified, didn't want to go outside. Like, it's prompted everyone to stay indoors until they actually caught him.
The only reason any murders actually get solved is because there's a motive.
It's means, motive, and opportunity. And if you don't have a motive, I mean, it's hard to track.
His motive
was
might be
behind it. Someone being like, I guess, competent enough to like actually kill people, and then like just somehow deranged enough to just kill random people for no reason.
Well, the DC sniper, I mean, it's twofold, though, because it was random, but at the same time, they were getting bad info, like how they kept saying it was a white van that they were shooting out of, and it was that blue sedan that they were firing from.
There's examples of that here,
That's what I mean, like...
Just the general confusion
randomness,
trying to,
plus misinformation. I mean, it makes it harder to figure out who you're actually going after.
Can you just imagine, though, like, with, like, the internet today, like, this type of thing, how people would go nuts and
it would be insane.
It would get worse.
How much noise, how much meaningless noise there would be.
The background noise is horrible.
Imagine the Reddit posts.
Yeah, I know. That's what I
come
just...
on.
It's like playing telephone.
Yeah, it would be so
by the time you get the final message,
it would make no sense. Yeah.
It's a Bolivian that dropped out of clown college and was so distressed that he started killing people.
With the cipher puzzles, the internet would go nuts.
But see, that's the other thing that kills me. Like, he's supposed to be this, master illusionist, and he sends out these puzzles that are so, childish and put together that teachers solve it at breakfast time, in their own home, because the guy doesn't know what he's
solves
doing.
It.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of it is that it was intriguing, but then it became like, it's like watching, a soap opera. Then the letters get crazier and crazier, and he keeps saying he's going to set off bombs and shoot children, and you can kind of tell that when it became about the media, because then it starts getting insane to keep people terrified.
He seemed to love it. Like, I mean,
but I mean, he's sending. I think they said they were sending 2 or 3 letters a week or something like that. Like, he was writing weekly to the paper and the police because he liked just people paying attention to him or being in the news.
So we probably need to
so high off of it.
Let the listeners know. I mean, this is rated R. There's some aggressive
language and violence.
There's some pretty extreme violence early on with the killings.
Yeah, but about the 42-minute mark there, I mean...
After the first hour, it's just language.
The first couple of murders that you see, you don't see.
There's some tense, like, horror type movie scenes.
It's really thriller. I would say
thriller.
He does a really good job of setting the mood.
Yeah,
and you get like the obsession that you get with that too. Like
but anyway, so if you're not into that,
it's
then
suspense,
stay
thriller,
away.
There's some
crime,
drug use, and some pretty.
Alcohol, drug use.
Yeah, some pretty like
heavy alcohol.
Some bad examples.
But yes,
alcoholic use.
For anyone that's squeamish, after the first hour, it becomes more investigation, like mystery, whodunit.
Yeah, but I would recommend it. I mean, if you can get past those 2 things, like pop in the Zodiac and make sure we were able to stop for a potty break because it is very long.
The director's cut is 162 minutes, so it's a bit lengthy.
Yeah. Any parting thoughts before we
Fincher's been letting
adjourn?
us down. He's not done anything like this since.
Well, movie-wise, no.
It's like had this scale in time and space.
It's true.
And there's
I mean, that's like not necessarily. This was probably not easy to make.
This was his peak.
I don't want to say that. He's still very prolific, and I'm sure he'll.
For me, it's Dragon Tattoo was, I think,
Dragon Tattoo is pretty good.
I wouldn't say it's better than this.
No,
it's not.
I don't think it is.
But
either.
I think director-wise, compared to what he's got, but
Gone Girl's funnier than this, I would say.
Gone Girls,
yeah,
it is very good.
But Mindhunter has been really enjoyable. Mindhunter, the second season it focuses on the Atlanta child murders. Like it's got the same suspenseful. Like if you like Mindhunter, you'll love Zodiac because it's basically in the same vein.
See, I haven't seen Mindhunter.
It's amazing. You should totally watch it.
Like, I really like Seven, which is the earlier movie he did. That's very similar, serial killer.
Or the game. The game kind of has the same kind of tone
Seven
to it.
too?
Yeah.
Which
really,
I would say that this is still better than that. Like
Seven,
I think it really benefits from being based on a true thing. And not, like a stylized, like
not just,
it's not sensationalized by
the way that Seven is.
Yeah.
Which I mean, Seven's still very good. I really enjoy that. But.
Seven.
What's in the box?
Yeah,
Fight Club.
But that's essentially just two detectives and the killer. Whereas this is like.
This is the entire town of San Francisco.
This is the newspaper. Yeah. This is the detective.
This is the prosecutors. This is the cartoonists. Their families. Their friends. Everybody,
it's an intricate web they weave.
Yeah, but I mean,
so it's just stronger inherently. Based on.
But I mean, considering that he took a crime that takes place over decades and involves several cities and hundreds of people, and they condensed it into under 3 hours and made it enjoyable. I mean, it's quite a feat, I think.
Yeah. All right, gents. Appreciate your time. That's it for us. Popcorn Priest is exiting the theater. Hit me up on the Twitters or the Instas if you want to interact with the great Popcorn Priest at Popcorn Priest. I respond to every tweet, post, comment, hashtag, and whatever else there is. Let us know if there's something you would like us to review. Also, if you've enjoyed this or any of our previous episodes, please subscribe so you can get notifications on our newest episodes. I love movies, and I would love it if you would share the love. Muchas gracias. Another way to share the love is sharing those dollars. I've created a Patreon account. If you've liked anything up until this point and want to support the show so we can continue to bring you these entertaining reviews, please do so at patreon.com/popcornpriest. Next week, Mike Lowry is on the pod. Gear up for Bad Boys for Life. As always, thanks for listening. This has been Should You Watch This with the Popcorn Priest. And for Cole and Taylor, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.